tell us a little bit about your journey into being a pediatrician and caring about social determinants?
Sure. So I am a pediatrician at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland. We got a new name recently, for those of you that weren't aware. And my one boss is here, Dr. Britt Lubin. I understand the Benioffs aren't here tonight, but hopefully they will know that we are saying a good word about their hospital. I actually thought that I could start by sharing a story of some of my patients. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about Isaac. So Isaac is a 3-year-old who is adorable, and every time I see him, I just get a big smile on my face. As his primary care physician, I recently saw him because we updated his vaccines, and I listened as the mom was telling me how she's really concerned because Isaac is not putting sentences together, very much like Dante, and that he seems really impulsive. And then the mother started telling me that the house that they live in is infested with mold and mice, and that there's not enough food to go around, and that she just really struggles to make ends meet. And the majority of the time, Dante and his 3 siblings live inside because they can't go outside and play, certainly not on the streets of Oakland. And Isaac's story is like most of the patients that I see, these kids that have amazing amounts of adversity in their life. And I think that what keeps me going as a pediatrician is that Dante, Isaac, like Dante, is an amazing kid. And in the face of so much adversity, he has resilience and curiosity and strength, and it's humbling to be around him. And I think that it is his resilience and his strength that are the opportunities for all of us here in the room to bring our best selves forward and figure out what the possibilities are so that every child can really succeed. So I don't know how many of you have come to Children's Hospital. If you haven't come, I warmly invite you to come visit us. But it's a place that as soon as you walk through the door, you just feel the warmth that we have for kids. We are 100% dedicated to children 100% of the time. And we see all kinds of kids. We see kids who are very privileged, and the majority of our kids come from backgrounds that are similar to Isaac. And we see them without ever asking if they can pay. We think it's important to heal kids and to give kids opportunities. So there are 2 main theoretical constructs that I would like to lay out for you today. And one of them is this concept of social determinants of health, and the other is about brain development and neuroplasticity. Social determinants of health has become a very vogue term, but what it really means is that it is the social and environmental factors that we know impact outcomes. So it's having healthy food, having stable housing, being able to grow up in a place that's safe, where you're not being abused, and where you can get exercise. So from the time of birth, and maybe even before that, we know that where a child eats, sleeps, plays, and learns profoundly impacts not just their health outcomes, such as having asthma or obesity, but it affects their learning outcomes, like having dyslexia or ADHD or graduating from high school. And it also affects their mental health outcomes, whether or not they have depression or anxiety. And so what we're learning is that your zip code, there are parts of Oakland and East and West Oakland that we know that your zip code is actually predicting how your genetic code will function and whether it's going to be protective and protect you from chronic disease, or whether it's actually going to induce those diseases. And we see these ramifications all the time. And I know that certainly in my own family, my passion for this work definitely comes from the fact that a lot of my family is plagued with adversity. I grew up in a multiracial household, and my father was African American. He grew up in extreme poverty in rural Oklahoma during segregated times, and his parents were illiterate. He was the first person in my family to go to college, and I'm the first person to go to medical school and to become a physician. And so these issues are amazingly personal, but they also provide this vast potential for all of us to work together and really improve the outcomes of the kids that we're seeing. So in addition to social determinants, I want to talk about brain development and get a little bit nerdy on you all. And so bear with me, and if it's too much, you can just say, keep going, move on. So in our brains, we have these cells, and these cells are called neurons, right? And these neurons are what allow us to transmit information. They allow us to sort and store and organize the information that we are receiving all the time. And they transmit that information via something called a synapse. And so a synapse is how you make that connection. And babies are born with 80 billion neurons. And they make about 700 synapses every single second. That's amazing. And so for a kid like little Isaac, he has trillions of these connections that are forming that help him to regulate his feelings and his thoughts and help him to problem solve and help him to understand how to interact with other people. And if this process of developing these circuits gets disrupted for any reason, your mom is really stressed out, she has 5 jobs, you don't have food on the table, right? If for any reason Isaac's brain development is interrupted, then the time that he should have been spending on developing executive functions like problem solving and reasoning and developing compassion and trust gets shifted. And it gets shifted so he's learning how to survive. This is what early adversity does to brain development. But the power in this is that parents have the ability to build strong brains, and it depends upon parents being able to provide make these brains strong in an environment that's enriched. And so we can't assume that brain development is an automatic process. It's very contingent on your early childhood experiences. So based upon these concepts of social determinants of health and brain development, there are a couple of really innovative programs that we're doing at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland, that I wanted to share with you. And so the first program that I want to share with you is called FIND, which is our Family Information and Navigation Desk. And the goal of FIND is to address all of these unmet social and environmental needs. So we have community workers screen families for food insecurity, for housing instability, for abilities to get out and explore nature. And then we connect families to resources, and we follow up using a warm handoff and using a lot of cultural responsive techniques. And what we found since 2013, we've screened thousands of families. We've been able to help parents to provide more supportive environments for their kids. And it's been this amazing process. And now we're scaling not only throughout our hospital, but also into UCSF Mission Bay, to San Francisco General Hospital, to local school districts, and to community clinics. So the second really innovative program is Too Small to Fail, which is a joint collaboration between the Benioffs, between the Clinton Foundation, the New Opportunity Institute, and the UCSF Philip R. Lee Institute for Public Policy. And the goal of Too Small to Fail, it's all about that interaction between the parent and the child. And so we have pediatricians talking to parents about brain development and helping parents figure out easy, simple ways to engage with your baby. Talk about colors, talk about airplanes, be silly together, because what we're finding is that it's these quiet moments that parents have with children when your child or your 4 children are sitting on your lap and you're exploring Goodnight Moon together. Those are the moments that directly impact brain development. And even Too Small to Fail, we iterated and now we're scaling. And so we're launching these monthly talk, read, and sing days where doctors and community members and toddlers are all talking and reading and singing together. And I would love to have you guys come to our next talk, read, and sing day. We're really excited about it. But what we do know is that health and education are really inextricably linked. So in closing, I just want to continue to stress that if all of us as providers and policymakers and you guys can invest and iterate and co-learn together, there's an opportunity to really improve brain development. Frederick Douglass has a quote that says that it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. So together, we can all redefine possible. Thank you.
Thank you.